fans, welcome to the newest season of In the Game. I'm Cameron Wolf, and I'm here with the Daily Cougars' own Chris Shelton. We're ready to kick off the UH football's newest season. What do we have our expectations for in store this year?
The expectations are high. This team is a team that went 8-5 last season, returns the vast majority of its players, has a quarterback who set a lot of freshman records, has two solid running backs, solid stable of receivers, and on defense has the team that turned over opposing offenses at the highest clip in the nation. So there's a lot to be excited about if you're a fan of this team. Now, can they all put it together? Because no championships are ever won on paper.
Right, and I agree with you. It's a lot of depth coming back. It's a lot of optimism. I think that's the big word buzzing around campus. New stadium coming up. There's a lot of big expectations. Teams aren't going to be, students and fans aren't going to be happy with 6 or 7 wins anymore. Going to a bowl game playing Navy December 22nd. That's not going to fly anymore. They're going to want a January bowl. They're going to want 10 or 11 wins. They're going to want an AAC conference championship. That's what fans are expecting with this new stadium. And they say they're looking at the schedule, which most consider to be weak. I think it's a little stronger than expected. But most are saying with that schedule, there's no reason why they shouldn't win this conference. Blake Bortles no longer there. Teddy Bridgewater's no longer there. DUH technically has a lot of the biggest names that are in the conference. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't be the favorite. So there's a lot of big expectations on them. And we'll see if they produce.
Especially given that a lot of the games last year that they lost, the big games, were on the road.
Right.
So now those games against UCF are at home, and if there's a close game, then they can win that out at home, given that they had a young team last year. So.
Right, and youth is a big thing that's going to be one of their pluses this year because they're still young, but they're more experienced. All those guys that were freshmen last year are sophomores this year. They're bringing back majority of the team, and it starts with John O'Corn, bringing back the sophomore quarterback. And I know Coach Levine has been gleaming all summer about his progress and going to the Manning camp and the big things they kind of expect from him this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how much better he is.
He needed some growth and development. He set every freshman record in terms of, passing yards, in terms of touchdowns, but there were times when he made some freshman mistakes.
Right.
We still need to remember that there was times when Greg Ward was inserted because John O'Corn wasn't playing well. But we also have to say that against Rutgers, he threw 5 touchdown passes and he really carried the team. So he's a guy who, if he can smooth out the bad experiences and he can play more consistently, he could really do some special things at UH.
I agree. It's been a lot of buzz. I know John O'Corn's been on a lot of watch lists as long as Greenberry, and all these different players are getting kind of some recognition out there. And another thing we mentioned back with the stadium is just the new stadium's opening, so there's nothing but excitement in this campus. The football team is at the highest note it's ever been. It's people are really excited to see this team play. We're going to take a little break right now, and we're going to talk to SGA President Charles Haston a little bit more about the stadium and see what he thinks about the fans and the students coming together for this new UTSA game. Welcome back, Cougs fans. I'd like to introduce SGA President Charles Haston. Glad to have you on the show today. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Great. New stadium opening up this Friday. What are you expecting from the fans out this weekend?
I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to open up this stadium like this. We have this incredible new facility. It's a $120 million brand new stadium. And we're lucky enough to have one of the best tailgating sites in the country now. We have about 800 contiguous feet of grass space right there on the east side of the stadium. We're going to have Cullen Boulevard shut down every game, so we should have one of the premier game experiences in the entire country now.
Should be pretty exciting. I know there's been a lot of optimism and buzz out and around campus that we haven't been at the stadium at all last year. So people had to travel, and the new stadium is going to bring a lot of tailgating, like you mentioned, and also a lot of buzz around the team.
Right.
The team last year went 8-5, but there wasn't a lot of buzz around it, and they have a lot of optimism this year. Expect to win 10 or 11 games this year. What do you expect from the team perspective?
I think we've got a great team this year. We've got this third ward defense that's returning this year that's got a great lineup. We've got our sophomore quarterback, John O'Corn, who's gained 27 pounds over the summer this year. So he's a sophomore now. He's got a little more maturity, definitely a little more size. And we've got a lot of returning seniors and juniors that are going to be starting. So it should be really exciting to see what this team can do this year, and it'd be great to see us get in one of the top bowl games this year.
And the president of SGA, I know you guys have been at the forefront and bringing the stadium plans to the new students. Can you share a little bit about what you guys have in plan and have done so far?
Yeah, so we've actually put together a whole week's of activities this week. Then on Wednesday, our first big event is taking place at the stadium. Students are actually going to have this incredible opportunity to do a little role reversal with the football team. So the students are actually going to run through the stadium, and the football team's going to be there to greet them as they run through. Then immediately after that, we're going to go right into a pep rally. It's going to take place on the field. Following the pep rally, we're going to have a aerial shot of an interlocking UH of the students. And then they get to do a meet and greet autograph session with the players right after that. So that should be a pretty incredible event. Thursday, we've got the Glow Party and Laser Show in Lenewson Park. We've got about 6,000 giveaways. We have LED finger lights. We have an LED stage. My God, we're even giving away LED cougar paws. So it should be this great opportunity for students to really celebrate this new stadium opening. And then, of course, Friday, we're running the tailgate. And we've actually sold out of tailgate locations in less than 2 hours. So students seem to be really excited about this new stadium and all the new opportunities surrounding it.
That sounds really exciting. I know that's something I would have loved to have out there as a freshman. How about you, Chris?
Oh yeah, just seeing this stadium come together has really been an interesting thing to me, because what shouldn't be lost is that this is not this is not like something that's normal for UH. Is that we haven't had a state-of-the-art stadium on campus since, or never on campus. We've never had a state-of-the-art stadium.
7 years ago.
Yeah, in 70 years. You know, the last time UH played somewhere state-of-the-art is when the Astrodome was good. So this is a monumental event, and I'm just glad to be on campus for this monumental event.
Right, and it's really a reward, especially for these new freshmen coming on campus. I know UH has done a lot from getting into Tier 1, building new housing. They're really transitioning to be one of the elite schools in Texas, and this is just the next step. A new stadium coming out here, and the UTSA game should be the culmination of all the work that people have put in, and it should be a celebration out there. I know I've had people coming up for me for weeks talking about, oh man, are you going to be out there for a new game? Are you going to be out there? I'm like, of course. Are you going to be out there? I'm like, yeah. Talking about these new events that you mentioned, running out in the stadium at the field. I know that's an opportunity that most students don't get to do, running out there as a player, you know, and that's just an incredible experience that we'll get to experience in this upcoming week. So that's all we have for Charles today. Appreciate you coming out, sharing a little bit of your busy schedule with us. I'll let you go on your way, and since UTSA probably won't be one of the tougher games this year, let's talk about a few of the tougher games. BYU going down to Provo, Cincinnati later on in the season, and also the UCF game. Those are a few. How do you see the Cougars faring in those games?
The BYU game might be the toughest game on the schedule, because BYU, Tyson Hill, their quarterback, put up almost 1,000 yards in offense last time when he came to Reliant. So he did that in Houston. So traveling to Provo, which is already a tough place to play, it's tough to really expect UH to win that game. But if they're developing into the great team that Tony Levine wants them to be, and John O'Corn is becoming the quarterback that he wants to be, then this is a game that they can win.
I agree. BYU is going to be the toughest game on the schedule, in my opinion. 47-46 last year. Game was crazy, you know. Field was shaking down there. Just one or two key plays John O'Corn needed to make, he did make. And of course, the defense gave up a lot of points that year. It's going to be tough to beat a team with a running attack as strong as theirs. Also, the Cincinnati game, Cincinnati's probably the favorite to win the AAC, along with UCF, and ECU's also there as well. That's going to be a tough game on the road. Going back to UCF at home, that's going to be probably the toughest home game, and it'll be interesting to see how they play and how UCF played without Storm Johnson and Blake Bortles, see how they regroup as a team. One of the biggest points that I believe of the season is their defense. They, like we mentioned earlier, they led the nation in 43 turnovers last season. And turnovers are something that's not really duplicated that often. Trayvon Stewart led the nation with 10 turnovers. Adrian McDonald added six interceptions. So how do you feel like the Cougars will play defensively if, like we expect, they don't get 43 turnovers this year?
Well, even I believe they know that 43 is an impossible number to recreate. But when you have two ball-hawking safeties and Trayvon Stewart and Adrian McDonald, who you just mentioned, you can recoup some of those. And the belief from the team is that now they have more experience and that they'll be able to slow people down, get off the field on third downs without needing a turnover. Because the turnover is, for as much as you can force a turnover, you also need the offensive team to make a mistake as well. Because if the offensive player holds the ball the way he needs to, and if the quarterback is safe with the football, you can't really get a turnover. So that will be their plan, is that they're better now to the point where they don't need turnovers to play great defense.
Right. And I know Derek Matthews mentioned one of the biggest things they've been preaching this offseason is getting off the field on third downs and stopping them in the red zone. Those are the two main things you need on defense to be a successful team. Coach Levine always applauds the fact that from 2012 to 2013, they raised their third down percentage almost 70 spots. That's something that's unheard of, and they expect to continue that growth. And I know Coach Gibbs always stresses the fact that that players create turnovers, not schemes, and they're bringing back a lot of those same players. So that's something that they can conceivably do almost as well. And the 43 is unrealistic, but that's something they can still produce. Going back on the offensive side, O'Korn has had a lot of success back here. What do you kind of expect in the sophomore year? Do you expect kind of a sophomore slump, or do you expect a even better O'Korn?
It's a $1 million question. If O'Korn is better, UH has a chance to run the table. If he doesn't improve, then UH could go 8-5 again, which would be a disappointment to most fans.
Right.
So the quarterback position is obviously the most important position on the field. So we'll see. Is he because he broke all of the freshman records with all of the great quarterbacks that UH has had. But can he grow? Can he develop? Can he become that great quarterback?
Right, and I think he has a potential. I think he has the potential to be one of the great UH quarterbacks, but potential is a key word. There's a lot of guys who've had potential.
Even David Pilot.
I was like, David Pilot had potential. I mean, Vince Young had potential. I mean, all these guys, all these guys have potential, but can they produce? I'm a big John O'Korn fan. I think he has a good chance, and this year, especially early on in the key games against BYU and Cincinnati and UCF, that will show how he does in the clutch. Will show how ready he is to take on that new burden. All right, we're about to get ready to go, but give me a record before we leave.
Put me on the spot. I would say that my prediction is that UH goes 10-2. Loses a tough game on the road in Provo. Okay. Utah against BYU. That's a tough venue to win in. And I would say they probably lose a close game on the road to Cincinnati. And
I agree that they'll have a really good season. I actually think that it wouldn't be out of the realm to have a dream 12-0 season, But I'm not going to predict that. I think they go 11-1. I think they do fall in Provo to BYU. That's a very tough team, especially at home. Taysom Hill, that running attack, they're just brutal, and I think that's one that UH will fall. But I think they'll go up in Cincinnati and beat a very tough Bearcats team, and I think they win the AAC this year. Well, that's all that we have for you today. Thank you for joining us for the next episode of In the Game. And don't just sit there, get in the game.